Okay, so recently we've been following the whole Sykkuno situation, which has been a pretty interesting one to kind of, uncover and go over a lot of the stuff that has come out from this. But essentially, one of the people that have been kind of very big with this has been Mujin. Now, if you don't know, Mujin was the person who made probably the video on this, which came not so long after the Google Doc came up. And obviously, it seems like they were working on it in the background before this Google Doc came up, and ended up uploading it around about the same time, right? And again, a lot of people have been questioning many things to do with not only the video and how things are phrased in the video, as well as the relationship between Mujin and hemomalvt, whether they were friends before or whether or whether they weren't, right? Again, it is one of these kind of things that people have been discussing. And of course, we had this tweet as well, which came out from Powdur, essentially saying, can you criticize him for cheating? Absolutely, but never once did I feel manipulated by this dude, which, I thought it was fair enough. If you don't feel manipulated by him, you don't feel manipulated by him, right? But again, then Mujin went and responded to this and had a little bit of a crash out. I say a little bit of a crash out. I had a crash out saying, can you criticize him for cheating? Absolutely, yes. But absolutely, but I had no viewers whatsoever and became desperate after trying everything to be relevant. So I chose to appeal to people who hate my gender in order to pay rent. Am I going to flip on a serial cheater who had sex with women without telling them that they'd be home wreckers? Of course not. Morals are not an obstacle to my income. Mujin was never really a reliable narrator, so when his video eventually comes out about me being cancelled by my audience for secretly having dated a black guy, even though I keep saying that I can't stand minorities, please don't trust him. And obviously, yeah, kind of pulling out this crazy stuff, like saying, like, she's going to get outed for dating a black guy in the future, which I thought was pretty crazy. And again, it's just kind of unnecessary, right? And a lot of people, even people who like Mujin and like his content, right, were like, yeah, nah, I don't know about this one. Because again, it just seems very crash outy. It seems very, just, I don't know, not very professional at all whatsoever. And a lot of people were not happy with this. But it seems that Mujin recently made a response to a lot of the stuff that's been going on, saying, some members of my community have reached out to me regarding a few concerns, and I want to make sure I properly address them before we fully move on from this topic. So, yeah, he's planning on moving on from this, right? Said, look, I'm flattered that hemomalvt tweeted that she considers me a close friend, and I'm grateful for her trust. But the first time we spoke was on April 7th, so this narrative that the video was made as a favor to anyone is simply false. And yeah, this was a question a lot of people were bringing up, was the fact that, hemomalvt saying that they were essentially friends before, people were kind of discussing, what was going on with this. Like, is there some kind of bias behind this video due to the fact of them being friends and obviously working on it, while this was going on in the background? And of course, I can 100% see why a lot of people thought that way, right? And also, as well, there was this whole thing of, during the actual video itself, he was not following any of the people. He was not following hemomalvt or Alfie or all of these people that were essentially involved in the Google Doc. But, there was this kind of contradicting statement of, hemomalvt saying they were friends. Well, why does your friend not follow you on Twitter, right? And a lot of people boiled it down to essentially wanting to appear neutral and unfollowing them for the recording, which of course, I don't know, maybe that's the case, maybe it wasn't the case. And obviously he says that they were only friends since April 7th, but I find it a little bit weird. I find it a little bit weird that obviously one saying one thing and one saying the other thing. And then said the truth is, Sykkuno's serial cheating and manipulation was only the tip of the iceberg, and I was hoping the video would encourage the many people who have stayed quiet for years to finally find the courage to talk about their experiences. And honestly, obviously, I know what he's meaning here. He wants to help out. He wants like people to kind of come out with their own experiences. But I think this video, the video that he has made, has honestly made it harder for these people to come out with this kind of stuff. I think, now that there's been so much controversy surrounding his video in particular, not so much the Sykkuno situation. A lot of people are agreeing, like, yeah, Sykkuno, obviously cheated on his girlfriend and is terrible and all this kind of stuff. But people have been like mainly arguing over like a lot of Mujin's wordings in the video of him calling him like a predator and all these kind of things, right? That's been the main thing that's caused a lot of heat within the space, which has now allowed a lot of people, or no, I say allowed a lot of people, now worried a lot of people to, not come out with their own stories about this kind of stuff, right? So unfortunately, with the current state of affairs, it doesn't seem like it will happen, even if they were somehow to fit the image of a perfect victim. I don't blame them whatsoever. Instead, I can only wish them the best, and I hope that his ex, who was cheated on for over 5 years, can find the peace that she deserves. As for me, I'll continue making videos that millions of people enjoy, and when prompted, I'll still strive to do the right thing, even if it's not trendy. because that's just how I was raised, and it's simply who I am. That will never change, no matter how many vultures try to desperately find my name. Thank you for being the best community I could ever ask for, and I'll see you in the next video, whenever that is. So yeah, that was his response to it, right? And it is a pretty interesting response, right? And then he goes and does the one thing that a lot of Twitter users probably shouldn't do if they want to get people on their side, which is locking the replies. Of course, people are going to make fun of him for that one, and yes, they have been, right? And there's been a lot of quote retweets, right? Including, Powdur saying, thank you, Mujin, essentially saying thank you for making her evening. Also, love you saying, screenshot of this just in case, admitting you made a hit piece based on zero credible information because you are hoping someone else would have something valid is a terrible look for you. It's time to take the L, my guy. Stop with the double down. He says he made an hour video within 3 days of knowing her, so either he knew nothing about her and still made it, or he's lying. Tough choice, which, I mean, yeah, I can understand that, right? And, Storm saying, holy narcissist, I'll continue making videos that millions of people enjoy, which, yeah, I mean, it does come off that way, right? It said this tweet speaks for itself. Drops a hit piece, calls someone a predator, gets called out for suspicious timing, vague connections, opinionated and far too personal rhetoric, attacks literally anyone who disagrees, goes so far as to fetishize a woman's relationship as a clapback insult with her personally and publicly, and calling her morally bankrupt while laughing as her, disappears for 3 days. You would think we would just move on, but no, we have to pretend that the concerned community members are the reason for your tweet, and we all just know that you're trying to save face. And yeah, I don't think, he says here that some of his community members have reached out to him, and maybe some of them have, but let's be real, I don't think he's doing it for the concerned community members. I feel like he's doing it to, yeah, try and save face, try and, kind of gain whatever he can off of a pretty bad situation for him already, He said bro's about to get sued, and he got friend zoned, which is crazy. Red News saying, I'll be real, let's just say Sykkuno actually has actual skeletons in his closet. You'd be largely responsible for why that closet will likely remain closed. You misjudged how people would react to this. You can't judge that the well that you have poisoned. Which, yeah, I mean, a lot of people have essentially been going after this kind of stuff because, yeah, I mean, there's going to be a lot of people now very, very against speaking out about their own things because, if Sykkuno had actually done something terrible like a crime or something like that, which of course wasn't accused in the first place, but if he did do something like that, like something even bigger than what we're knowing now, nobody's going to come out of it because, of course, now they're going to get laughed out of the, out of Twitter, out of the YouTube comments, YouTube videos, whatever. They're going to get laughed, right? Because nobody wants to hear it anymore because of a lot of the, kind of rhetoric that some people have been using in terms of calling him a predator and things like that, right? Which people have not been so happy with. And obviously Mujin is one of the people that, I think people are unhappy with due to using, words like that to describe him. And of course, as Red News says here, poisoning the well. Rev saying Mujin has repeatedly failed to do the right thing. Readers added context. Again, they didn't Mujin just throw him out under the bus because some people have valid criticism that he shouldn't be content farming of someone's real life affairs. Posting a video 1 hour after isn't a flex. This is the worst statement ever because you basically are shifting the blame on Mao, which again, I don't think people are mad at the fact that he made content out of it. I think it's more so obviously Mujin tends to give off a more neutral tone whenever it comes to his videos, where in this one, it doesn't really seem like it so much. It seems like he is very much on the side of, hemomalvt and kind of, siding with her, right? Because he's spoken to her. Obviously, she says, obviously they know each other enough for her to call them friends, right? Whether that was since April, whatever he said it was, or whether it was, or whether it's been longer, it doesn't really matter. Obviously, they've talked enough to the point where, this person feels like they are friends with him, which I think is crazy. People saying, of course, the comments are off. Whole speech about doing the right thing, but can't handle anyone questioning it. Lol, he logged replies to stop himself getting owned and ratioed again. The Mujin posts a classic PR statement due to the backlash he's getting for the obviously biased coverage of the Sykkuno situation and turns off replies to the post. A classic move of someone who does not want to engage with any ideas critical of him. People say, you got Nicholas Dororio here saying, what a pathetic loser. And if you say, haha, God, I can't with this. The chick, Mujin is my friend and my confidant. Mujin, I just met that chick. I think the little friend gains trust way too fast from what I can see, which again, I think it's one of these things, right, where there's clearly been a huge miscommunication, and I think this kind of, shuts down, maybe some of the arguments that people have in regards to the Sykkuno situation. Is like, it's starting to get a little bit blurry in terms of the relationship between them. What other information is kind of blurry, right? Because obviously hemomalvt believes that Mujin has been one of my friends, has been one of my confidants this entire time. But, again, she's saying that she's been, one of her friends, but Mujin says, no, I just met her. There's kind of like a miscommunication there, and people are going to start to wonder what else has been miscommunicated, especially whenever it comes to the video, right? Has everything else apart from this been, communicated perfectly, or is there some things that, maybe, could be slightly miscommunicated as well and put into that video? If you say, where the apology to Powdur for the Spurg out, where's the apology to Tecto and Cinder and the other people you lied about? Zero credibility and take accountability. Nice locked replies too, which obviously, yeah, people were getting mad. That saying, so now you are not friends, and this was meant to encourage others to come out. Really blank, which of course, I mean, yeah, I think it's crazy. And of course, there's all of these as well. I said this MF locked replies, and again, as I said, the one thing you don't want to do if you want people to kind of understand your point and whatever is lock the replies, because people are going to point it out. People are going to make fun of you, and of course, it's going to end up looking even worse for you in the long run. I'd rather just take the hit of the ratios and people, getting mad in the replies than locking the replies and getting people mad in the quote retweets instead, and farming some pretty crazy viewed, kind of tweets. So, I mean, that's essentially all of his response. You guys can take whatever you want from that. Again, I do think it's one of these situations where, I mean, he's getting pretty dogged on right now. But I mean, there's some clear miscommunication or some clear mix-ups in terms of, the kind of relationship between Mujin and hemomalvt and how close they were whenever, this video is made. Obviously, him saying that he just met her, and her saying that they're close friends and her confidant and all of this kind of stuff. I mean, it's very odd, right? It's very, very weird. And of course, that is why people are so angry. And of course, as well, with the whole Mujin Powdur tweet as well. And also, Powdur did follow up as well after all of this kind of stuff, saying, for the record, because unfortunately Mujin has a sizable influence and people are unsure why he even brought up my personal dating life, I've never dated anyone outside of my race, obviously being white. So Mujin was legitimately schizo posting and threatening me with an expose video. I must have hit a nerve when I said unreliable narrator. Said, I'm also aware that the fact that because some of my opinions are right-leaning, that it attracts a lot of black posting and other weird stuff for a bunch of other weirdos. But there are weirdos on both sides. When I came across people who are outspokenly left-leaning, they would create things like footer, which obviously, it's a hard truth when you're a content creator online. People are going to schizo post and create weird shit no matter what you do, which I think, yeah, that's true, right? And yeah, a lot of people have been kind of talking about this, saying, I'm feeling so manipulated right now. And yeah, I think a lot of people are getting mad as well, which I don't know. It's just such a mess now, right? At this point, it's become like, not just like, because I think it went from like serious actual like claims to now just like Twitter drama, right? And it's disappointing, right? Because it could have been something that could have been used to kind of get any more people that potentially haven't spoken up about this kind of stuff, but now it's just turned into just Twitter drama, right? And it's pretty disappointing. But yeah, I mean, that is essentially all I got for this video. If you guys did enjoy it, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe. Also, go to GameSubs, use my code Kaza, get 10% off. Again, they've got a ton of really cool stuff over there. Definitely recommend checking it out. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one. That's all. See ya.